What's up, world? It's your man, Cal Quigley IV. Welcome to another episode of the Wallet and Wellness Podcast. I'm the Wallet.
And I'm Chris Randall, the Wellness. On this podcast, we give you information that's going to help you grow your wealth and maintain good mental health. So if you're watching, you're part of the dubs. Thank you so much.
What's up, dubs? So what's going on, brother? How you doing, man? Everything copacetic?
I'm doing good. I like how I look in the camera with my shirt. I feel like the gym has been, helping. So I feel good. If I look man. Like this a couple more times, it's because I'm like, all right, then we're looking like something over here.
Yeah, in the mirror a little bit.
Right.
Me and my man H, when we used to go to the club, we used to always have a nose check. So like right before we go in, like, I'm good.
Man.
Okay. All right. Go a long way, man.
I hate talking to people, and then when I see myself, I go,
"What?
That was in there the whole time."
Yeah.
Man, I hate that.
So I'm wondering how people can look at you and talk to you, and you got a booger hanging out your nose. Like I don't even understand.
I don't know either. You ever notice when you talk to people, what do you look at on their face?
Normally, I'm a teeth, nose, eye guy.
Okay.
That's kind of like my progression.
In the order, you going to
okay.
I can see that because your mouth is the one moving.
Yep.
So it's easy to key in on that. I try to force myself. I'll be in my mind. I'll be look at their eyes. They eyes up there. Look at their eyes. Yeah. So I don't. It depends. Man, that's hard.
Yeah. I always look, my wife and I, when we go out to eat, because we're always talking to people, and, people coming up, you don't want to be looking nasty. So I'm like, hey, I don't have nothing in my teeth, right? She'd be like, yeah, actually on the right side. So I carry toothpicks. I'm a toothpick guy, man. I always have toothpicks, man. So yeah.
Okay.
Try and keep them teeth clean.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, today, man. So this is a little bit of a controversy with this episode. We're talking about owning versus renting, and sort of the advantages to both, disadvantages to both, and vice versa. And so I just wanted to kind of like throw it out there because, when I start thinking about real estate, I think about the way that I've been able to build wealth in this country. So there's two ways you can build wealth in America, right? It's either through life insurance
or steal it. That's not what you was going to.
That's number 3.
Sorry, I thought you were going to say that. Go ahead. No, life insurance.
Life insurance, passed on generational wealth, and then real estate.
Okay.
And so with those being the two things, I've always thought about like, okay, how do I get in that game? How do I get in this game? If it's 1 and 2, I need both of them, right?
Yeah.
And then you start thinking about stealing money. But don't do that. Don't do that, right? So for me, like very early on, I was 18 or 19. I was looking for houses, man. So like I was at my first duty station. I got a real estate book. I was learning about real estate. I was like, I'm going to buy me a house. Now, it was in North Dakota, so I'm glad I didn't buy it because I never want to go there again.
Yeah.
But very quickly, I bought my first condo.
Okay.
While I was transitioning from the Air Force. But yeah, that was like the first thing on my mind when I was thinking about owning and ownership.
Yeah.
I was like, got to give me a house, got to give me a condo, got to give me a townhouse, right? What about you? Like, how did you think about that as you kind of transition?
I've heard there's a lot of information out there, and there's been a lot of information out there about the difference between the two, which one is better. What I have learned in getting information about whether it's real estate or money or taxes or the stock market or whatever, everybody's situation is different.
It absolutely is.
So we give a lot of information on this podcast, and all of it is good. We're going to try to make sure that we give a nice overview of why this may work for this group or why this may work for another group.
Right.
But it's always important for you as the listener or the viewer to make sure you tailor the information that you get, whether it's from us or anybody else, to your situation.
Yes.
Because your situation could be the situation that you're in now. Your situation can change in 6 months. It's something cannot work for you now and it works for you later, or it works for you now and it doesn't work for you later, depending on what it is that you are involved in or what you're going through.
Right.
And I think renting and owning, or renting versus owning, is a part of that type of information. There are some people, usually homeowners, who are like, they stand by it.
Yeah.
Buy.
Yeah.
Stop renting. You're throwing away your money, and you're doing this and you're doing that. And if that's all you hear, then that's what you think. Oh, I guess I'm throwing away my money. Versus somebody who travels all the time, or the way they live their life, it doesn't work for them to get a house or to buy a house,
Right.
because they're never going to be there because they're doing whatever it is that they're doing. So renting works for them because they don't have to, I don't know, worry about maintenance or they ain't got to, cut the grass or whatever the case is. So I think it really depends on what your specific goals are, for your life. So I think it's important to take a look at that when you're getting, all of this information.
Absolutely. I agree. Let me ask you something. When you hear generational wealth and kind of like the wellness piece of that, what's the correlation there between generational wealth and good mental health?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think a part of that, just like you pass down assets, not just money, but whatever it is, the asset is being passed down so it can help, the next generation.
Right.
I think the same thing is true on the wellness piece as far as passing down good character, passing down a good work ethic.
Oof,
and I don't, as you continue to learn, we always hear work smarter, not harder. The thing about it is work is always involved. If you're working hard, you're working hard.
Yeah.
If you're working smart,
you're still
working, so the ability and the idea to work on yourself, pass down attributes of resilience, pass down attributes of self-control, pass down attributes of patience, attributes of confidence. Pass those down, to your descendants, and I think that's a good way to on the money side. Yes, you have a family who is wealthy financially, but then you can have a family that is wealthy emotionally speaking, because that comes from something.
Yeah.
It comes from, if we talk about the Vanderbilts and they got money 17 generations in, then why
the Rockefellers?
The Rockefellers, why can't it be the same, when it comes to their mental wellness, their mental health, the way they're able to handle situations, or the way they're able to handle and pivot, when certain things happen. That's gotta come from, somewhere. So if you, just like you're saying, oh, my grandfather, passed down this XYZ, it's like, no, my grandfather taught me this about my mental health, or my grandfather taught my dad, and that was a big part of his life. And then my dad taught me, and then that's something I'm teaching, to my, kids. I think that's really, important to, yes, get your finances in order, but also, what are you teaching your descendants about how to live life the best way they can, live it? I think that's super important.
And that's the piece that's missing a lot in our community. We don't really think about it that way. We think if we make enough money, we can give our kids what they want, and then they'll be good.
They'll be okay, yeah.
But what we're learning is the more you give to a child, the less connection they feel with the world around them, because they have all of these things that are taking their mind away from the things that are important. I was watching something on the news the other day, and we're going to get back to housing, but I was watching something on the news that said that this podcaster faked his death. And he faked his death so that he could impress upon his kids how important life is and how important time is.
Sheesh.
So they're at the funeral, like literally crying, and everybody's upset. This dude lands in a helicopter and walks out. And people are like freaked out a little bit, but he was like, I did this to teach a lesson. Now, I don't want my dad to do all of that, right?
Come on, man. I tell you right now, if I see my daddy again, because if you don't know my story, not to put a big, what in there, my dad was murdered. If he comes back and says, I was trying to teach you a lesson, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be like, sir.
That would be strange.
God dog it. That's...
But that's what he did, and it worked. He said his kids don't look at their phone. And, I mean, it's only been like
because they're traumatized. So of course they don't look at their phones no more. They're like, "Daddy, where is Daddy at? I'm in the kitchen. What you talking about?" Oh, God, dog it. Ooh, man.
But so for me, like I was saying, I bought my condo very early on. Then we bought our first house. Jessica and I were in the military, so everywhere we went, sort of our niche was we're gonna buy something where we are. And then, once we had all of those assets, we moved to where we are now. And we were like, okay, we're gonna sell all of those. So because we were in a position to purchase at that time, and then of course turn those into rental properties, it gave us like this huge portfolio that we were able to not only live off of now, but create a company around. So like if I hadn't have done all those things, I wouldn't be able to sit here and teach people about purchasing real estate and writing contracts for rental properties and all of those kind of things. So for me, it just made sense. Like you said, everybody's situation is a little different. I was thinking about when you said people who own always are telling people, oh, you're throwing your money away, this and that. What we're starting to see now is a lot of older people are selling their houses and going back to renting because they no longer need the big 7-bedroom house and 5 bathrooms. It's just too much for them. So they're selling those assets off, moving back to a condo or an apartment where they don't have the maintenance and all of those kind of things, right? And then they're able to live their life however they want. So for young people, it goes two ways. Like you can start to invest and buy a house. I was talking to a young man 2 days ago in Michigan. He's 20 years old. He works for GM, making about $40,000 a year, bought his first house. And I was so impressed talking to him. I was like, where did the idea come for you to do this at such an early age? And he was like, well, I wanted to create, I understood that the housing market was going up. I needed to buy. I didn't want to buy at the top. I'd rather buy at the bottom. I could afford it. And then he's already talking about, I'm going to move out of this house in another year. I'm going to rent it out, and I'll probably go back and live with mom and dad for a little bit and then reload and do it all over again. So just the understanding behind creating that wealth, behind home ownership is important for people to know. It's different facets of it, different ways to go about doing it.
Yeah. Man.
Wouldn't it be nice to just lay in bed with your loved one and smell an incredible scent of breakfast being prepared by your own personal chef? Well, let's make this a real situation. Book Chef Monte.
This the Mix Show, the Imperial Mix Master JP. Check me out every Saturday night from 6 to 8. For sure. 214-431-5032. Fishbowl Radio Network, FBRN.US. Check me out every Saturday night. Fishbowl Radio Network, FBRN.US. FBRN.US. The Imperial Mixmaster JP. The Mix Show. Check us out.
So as we kind of get further into this conversation, what would you say, because you're a renter, right? Right now you all are renting.
Yes.
You're going through a program you were telling me about, so you'll talk about that a little bit. But like, what do you say are the perks to renting versus owning?
Right now, not being able to or not having to mow a lawn is one of where I'm like, I do not want to be outside trying to mow a lawn right now. And just the overall having to do stuff if something breaks, the refrigerator or the dishwasher or whatever, it's like, call maintenance in here, to get that handled. I think about, especially like a new build, sometimes they'll buy a new build and then like a month or two in it, something will happen or, it's just all sorts of things involved that go into each piece, whether it's a new home or whether it's a home that's been around. One of the things that I learned about like home inspections, when an inspector inspects your home, He's not inspecting to say this house doesn't have any water damage or any roof damage. That's not what he's doing. He's saying at the time that I inspected it, I didn't see any signs of water damage, because there's no way for him to actually know if there's a hole in the roof. Right. If it's not raining today, I can't say that there's no holes. I can say at the time that I inspected it, there was no yada, 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 so that was right there, just kind of learning about that, like, because some people can be in a position where they're buying the home and they might have money to fix the roof if it happens to, have a hole in it or whatever. So this house that they're about to buy still fits into what they want. This is still affordable for them, even if something is, wrong with it, But so even that, particular part of where I'm in it or we're in it, and then, 2 months down the line, something, happened, and now do you have the money, to fix that? So I think it really depends on what your situation, is. But for us right now, because of the high pricing with, mortgages and renting and all of that, and it, the a lot of times not being able to find, a home in the area that you want. If you add in the amount of people that are coming in from California,
oh man,
the population in Texas is going up because people are coming here, flocking to Texas because it's so much different than California, and it being so, high. So we're just taking this opportunity right now to really be patient, really get our affairs in order, whether that be the money that we have saved up, whether that be our credit scores, all of that. So when we are ready to pull the trigger, it's like, boom, we hit them with, this is our offer, boom, we ready to go. Yeah. So is
there any FOMO when you look at other people around, your age range or family or whatever, they're buying and you're not? Is there any FOMO there?
Sometimes.
Okay.
And it's mostly like, I think it's a man FOMO, where you can, at least me, I can think that I'm supposed to have a house by now.
Right.
I know guys, and they're my age and older, or a young guy. When you talk about young people buying houses, I was like, what did I?
My bad.
So you start going by like, what did I not?
Yeah, he bought a house at like 14, man.
What did I not do?
What you doing?
What the hell is happening? And I'm looking at because I grew up in a house. So I'm like, now I'm not treating my kids right, because they not able to have this and then and a lot of times I have to go, hey, that because the root of all of that is comparing.
Exactly.
It's comparison. I'm going, I should be where he's at, and I'm not. So I did something wrong, or I'm doing something wrong. I got to cut all of that out and be like, okay, I'm good. There are goals that we have, and we are willing to do what's necessary now so that later on we can get to the goals that we want to. And a lot of times I'll do check-ins, maybe not necessarily about having a house, but I'll go check in with my kids, the older ones, like, yo, are y'all good? Do you think I'm neglecting you in any way? Do you think I'm not giving you this, And they be like, we find that, like, relax. Like, if I ask them too many times, my oldest will go, okay, Dad, we get it. You're taking care of yourself and your mental, you're a great dad. Stop asking me that question. And that makes me feel good. Now, I still want to ask them in 2 weeks to make sure, are we still in the right spot, for whatever I'm doing? But it gives me a good feeling to know, okay, cool. They're not missing out on anything. There's some opportunity or whatever. So I got to check myself to make sure, that I'm not doing that.
I always kind of filter through everything, not through money in a bad way, like I love money kind of deal, but I just always kind of juxtapose my decisions and my decision making around the financial aspect of it. And so when I think about a house, which we're talking about an advantage to having a house, right? The tax benefits. You know? A lot of people don't know that mortgage, some of your taxes, those things are tax deductible for you as an individual. And then I'll go another further. We have an office for Quantum Prosperous in our house, And so because of that space being used as office space, we lease it to the company. We get to write off that space as well.
Yeah.
And so when you start thinking about all the tax deductions that you can have, again, when it makes sense for you, that's one of the things that, like, the biggest things that I think in our community we don't even realize is a tangible thing for us to have a house. And then for me also, you talked about this, about your kids, stability and security.
Mm-hmm.
So like I've lived in apartments and had people break in before.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, if I had my own house, then I could have had, the dog from Martin. I'd have had the dog from Martin in there. And at least he bit somebody in the ass or something, you know what I mean? But I always think about that as well, man. I have 2 kids, a wife, and so I'm thinking about, man, I want to have a secure place for them to feel comfortable in. So those are some of the things that I think about,
I get it. I get it.
The Quantum Prosperous Financial Firm serves as a catalyst for men of all races. It celebrates diversity to shatter the barriers of financial limitations, recognizing that the collective strength of different races and cultures enriches the entire community. By fostering a spirit of collaboration and shared success, this group has created an empowering ecosystem where everyone can thrive. Join us as we shatter the glass ceiling of success for all and create a legacy of abundance. Quantum Prosperous.
H. Demand Clothing Company stock is now on the rise and is quickly evolving as a major influencer in fashion, by becoming a multifaceted brand that the smartest investors are keeping on their radar for 2023. For a relatively young company, H. Demand is now forming strategic relationships with major brands to become the next big thing in fashion. And if you don't know, well, now you know. Urban design has always been at the forefront of any major design company. The influence is loved and respected worldwide. Everywhere you look, people are looking for the current new trend in fashion to look their flyest. Hence, the slogan of H. Demand. Come be fly with us.
All right, so what we got today? So this is a question from Mark in Arizona. All right, he said, what is the worst part to renting? What's the best part of renting? And then the same question for owning. So what would you say the best part of renting?
I think the best part of renting, again, like we talked about before, with you not having to take care so much of the management of the property. Mm-hmm. Your stuff you have to take care of.
Yeah.
But
not they stuff.
But not they stuff. Yes, that's exactly right. Yep. And probably it's easier to as long as you got the money, switch apartments.
Right.
One, you can go here, you can go there. Yeah. You want to live in, you're going to be able to find some place. You just need to make sure you have the money, to be able to go where you want to go. If you want more amenities, if you want to be in a different area, it's easier at least to do that than to have to switch houses a bunch of times. That would probably be the best thing that I can think of, right now. The worst is the shared space type of thing. You're in a community, your place is right next to somebody else. Somebody lives right above you. You know, you can hear all the things, depending on where you live, the drops or the noises or the whatever, that's probably the worst part, the shared, communal space, but it's easy to kind of switch back and forth depending on where you want to go, as long as you have the bread and the time to move, I don't like moving either, but as long as you can get over that, then you can just be where you want to be.
Right off the top of my mind, when I think about the worst thing about home ownership is everything's on you. Kind of opposite what you said, right? The trash, the weeds growing in between where you really can't get your finger in there. You know what I'm saying? Like every time I turn around, man, it's something that needs to be done at the house, right? Yeah. And because it's yours, you have that pride of ownership. So you're like, well, I don't want my yard to be the only one on the street that ain't lined up perfectly. So before you know it, you're out there every day trying to, clip grass with scissors and stuff, so that can get a little taxing on you. Yeah. I would say the best thing is knowing that you're going to be able to pass on a piece of property to your heirs. The pride of your community, knowing that you have a house. When we first moved into the house that we live in now, I started a football team on the street with all the little boys. First of all, because it was little boys, a bunch of them, and I have a daughter, I was like, I need to know who each one of y'all are and who your mom, where you live. Like, I needed to know who these kids were, but it brought that sense of community. And so we had a little football team, and I got to know these kids really well. We've been there for enough time now that some of them are actually in college. Oh, wow. One of them's about to be drafted in the NBA. So, all of those things help you build that community aspect that we talk so much about from back in the day that we don't have in our communities now. And so I think that that's important for me. And so that's one of the best aspects of it. Yeah. All right. Well, great question. Just like always, thank you to our dubs out there for the questions. That wraps the episode. We'll see y'all next time. Take care.
Upgrade and go get it.